Why take on Lincoln now? What was in your thought?
I wasn't taking on Lincoln so much as Lincoln as a catalyst for the story, the Lincoln assassination, because we all know about that. It's been pretty well covered over time. But for me, it was the story that nobody knew about. When I read the script, my first reaction was I thought it was going to be about Lincoln. I thought, well, we've covered that territory, thoroughly. But when I read it, I realized, oh, wait a minute, this is Lincoln is the catalyst for a story that is part of the whole thing, but nobody knows about it. The thing that interested me was not so much the politics of it. That was sort of provided by history itself. What interested me was the story, the personal story inside of that would make it worth telling. And that existed primarily in the arc of the two characters, Mary Surratt and the public defender that didn't want to defend her because he was a Union soldier and she was a Confederate woman. And how their arcs had to clash and then eventually coincide, I thought was where the real story was. So that's where my focus was. The rest was being taken care of. What I'd be concerned about is that somebody might think I created the political atmosphere, when actually history has done that.
Can we talk about Sundance for just a
Sure.
minute? What have you learned coming at it and doing it now? Is it feel any different?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the business has changed so radically, particularly in the last 5-7 years. But it's had a series of changes as I've experienced it when I first got into the business. If you were an actor and you did a film, it was usually a studio film, and you were on that film for its entirety. Studios pretty much controlled the industry. And then I was permitted to do a small film that was more offbeat, that had, the studio would not see it as a commercial, but they'd let me do it.
You still embraced it.
Well, yeah, and I was doing another film. So if I was doing The Great Gatsby or The Way We Were, which were good films, I mean, I enjoyed doing them, but for those larger budget films, I was allowed to make under $2 million films. And then I could make the films that were more of a personal interest to me because they were more about the human side, the complexities that we're talking about. That disappeared around 1980, and that's what led to the creation of Sundance.
Right.
To try to keep that alive.
Right.